Hello and welcome everybody. We're here to introduce the new Station 125 located on 655 Center Street in Midvale. We're going to give you a walkthrough tour and go into some more detail on how and why we designed it this way. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so welcome. We're here to walk through some of the designs of the Station of 125, but before we do that, I want to introduce Zach Robinson, Assistant Chief over Support Services. He and I have been working together on this project for a number of years, and the project has been going on for over 5 years now. So when we set out to design the stations, we had 4 or 5 areas that we wanted to focus on. The first one was the cost effectiveness and durability of the station. So we wanted to make sure that we're using tax dollars the best way that we can, but make sure that this station lasts for 30 to 40 years. Second one, Zach, is?
Well, we really wanted it to be a utilitarian space. We wanted every space that was in here to serve some purpose, besides just being open space that was just wasted.
The third area is health and safety of our firefighters. So there's a lot of components in here, from both physical fitness aspect to a cancer reduction component, and the spaces that we created tie together with the social component as well. The fourth one is future-proofing. So we've got a plan for 50 years down the road, and with many things coming at us like electric fire engines, electric vehicles, we had to plan for that, but we didn't necessarily need it today. But we also had to plan for the growth of the community. So as you can see here, we have a lot of space, and we have the ability to add a fire truck or fire engine when the call volume needs that.
We also took into pretty big consideration turnout times. There was a lot of design thought that went into this, studies that were done specifically to figure out how to get firefighters out of crew quarters, either bedroom area or day room area, much faster. And so those turnout times were definitely a factor in the design.
So the first thing that we want to talk about is firefighter health and safety, and a couple of the components in this station that we did specifically for that. The one that we want to talk about that I think is the biggest impact is we're trying to keep all of the contaminants in the bay space. So what does that mean, contaminants? We have diesel exhaust when we start our engines. It can stay in here when we come back from a fire and we have contaminants from the fire on us. And when we come back from a medical call, we also have those on us. So we want to try to keep all of that stuff out of our living quarters so that we're not having to live with it 24 hours a day. So the way that we did that in this station is the living quarters are positively pressured, so that pushes all the bad air out into the bay space where it's okay. The second piece of that is we've created an area for our firefighters when they get back from a call. They can go wash their boots off if it's a medical call, or they can go through our decon area if it's a fire call and replace their turnouts and clean themselves off before they go back into the living quarters. So let's take a walk through there.
So this is our firefighter gear storage area. An important feature about this area is that it's closed off from the bay. We don't want to store our firefighter gear in the bay where our contaminants are. So for example, a firefighter that may be off for 4 days, his gear would be sitting out there with diesel exhaust and whatever other contaminants might come up into the bay during those 4 days. Here, it's protected in the positive pressure area where the contaminants aren't going to make their way in here. Next, we have a firefighter decon area for both clothing and personnel, if you'll follow me this direction. So this space here, although it looks unfinished, was actually exactly the way we intended it to be. Over here we have some washers and dryers intended for not only soiled towels and things that we would utilize in the bay for taking care of and cleaning equipment, but also a second set for soiled firefighter uniforms. So if they respond on a call, the uniforms that they're wearing that may have been contaminated with any sort of product, they can come in here, wash their gear, wash their clothing, and then step into these rooms right here, which are decon shower areas, where they can get cleaned up, put on a second set of clothing which they can store in here, and then enter into the crew quarters from there.
Yeah, and around the back here, we even have a nice space to decon our equipment. So A lot of our stations don't have an area where you can go and decon your backboard or your monitor or any of that type of equipment that's used regularly on medical calls. So this is a nice area to do that.
Back out in this area, it looks like a wide open unfinished space, but it's actually part of our future proofing. We planned this space to someday house a commercial washing machine and commercial dryer to more effectively clean soiled, especially soiled firefighter turnouts, because those can get extremely dirty on responses to fires and things of that nature.
So again, the idea with this is to get yourself as clean as you can before you go in the living space. So the idea is to take a quick shower in here, get some workout clothes that you can change back into, and then go into the living quarters and keep that area as clean as we possibly can. Okay, so here we are in the kitchen and day room. When we first started, I talked about a social connection component of this station, and this was designed that way so that the majority of the time when the crews are here, they're going to be hanging out in this space. So we know we like to cook and eat, so we have a nice space to do that, and each platoon has a fridge and a cupboard of their own, and plenty of space to spread out on the table once we get 2 crews here eventually. This is where we'll be able to head down and relax after hours and watch TV and catch up and have some nice social bonding time here. The outdoor space there was a component that our architects designed to help bring natural light into the entirety of the station. So all the bedrooms that butt up against that, and also this interior space is naturally lit.
So another critical piece of the design of this station is to design a station that firefighters could exit quickly to respond on incidents. And so a lot of thought went into how this station lays out to get firefighters out quickly. In fact, travel surveys were done to count the number of steps and the seconds it would take to get to the apparatus bay to respond. Everywhere in the day room, from the center of the day room right straight out to the apparatus bay, is uninterrupted by turns, stairs, or any other obstructions. It's a straight shot out, allowing our firefighters to get to the bay as quickly as possible every single time they have a call.
We're here in the exercise room. As again, health and safety is one of our key priorities with this station design. So we wanted to make sure we had a space big enough that a crew of 6 or 10 could work out here together. So all the equipment's not in here yet, of course. We still have that on delivery, but there's enough space in here to have treadmills, rowing machines, other kind of weight equipment that we can make sure that we're as healthy as possible to do that. There's natural light from both sides, and so it encourages people to come in here and use the space.
Another nice benefit of this station is we can double the amount of space we have in the exercise room by opening up our overhead door.
So this ends up giving us twice the space. What we typically do is we take all of our workout equipment into the bay. It's where we can work out, and our whole purpose behind making this was to keep contaminants in the bay. And when you're moving workout equipment back and forth, that doesn't happen. And so the idea with this is to make sure we keep all the equipment in the green area, or the safe zone, as you will, and have a nice space that a crew of 10 or more can work out here together. Okay, so we're in our captain's quarters, so where the captains will have their office and their dorm room. We know that Midvale is growing specifically to the west, and that's going to increase our call volume. So someday, probably in the next 5 years, we're going to need 2 crews here, so an engine and a truck. So that means we're going to have 2 captains here. We designed this to have the captains together in the same space so they could work collaboratively together and make sure that their day is planned out and working towards a common goal. They each do have their own bedroom space, and we'll go down the hallway and look at some of the individual dorm rooms and talk more about that.
Another unique feature about this station are the dorm rooms. In this station, we designed the rooms to be individual suites. As you look at the room, you'll notice that it's going to feel a little bit small, and that was quite intentional. the goal is to give our firefighters a space where they can go and decompress and rest during the night quietly. You know, they have blackout blinds and they have controls for their own HVAC system in their room. They can set it how they want it, but we didn't want it to be so comfortable that they didn't want to come out of the room. So the space is such that we want to encourage people to stay out in the day room where they're with the crew, you know, enjoying time together and not isolating themselves in a bedroom.
We're inside the bedroom, and as Zach mentioned, it is pretty small, but we don't want people to hang out in here, but what we do want them to do is get good rest. So it's designed with all of these bedrooms on the back end of the station away from the street noise, so that when it is time to sleep, they can get the best sleep possible. The other thing we did is we have these blackout blinds, so it really prevents any light from coming in so that we can make sure they get the sleep they need when they need it.
One of the unique features about this space is that you can select the response tones that go off for the unit that you're going to be on. And so you would just come to your room here and select if you were going to be on engine 125, you would select this button. If you're just on the ambulance for the day, you can select that one and shut off the engine's response alarm, and you will not hear that alarm in your room while you're sleeping. You'll only hear your ambulance tone go off in the middle of the night. So that's a nice feature for our firefighters where if they don't need to go out, that alarm's not going to affect them. While this is not a two-story station, we do have a mezzanine designed into our station here. It is a second-story portion of the apparatus bay where we house the mechanical equipment towards the front, IT equipment and communications equipment behind that, and then also our electrical room. And you'll also notice some windows up here and a large opening. These openings are to provide firefighters a hardened place to train. You know, firefighters typically will have to go to our training center to do any real training with their ladders, you know, hoses, doing things like that, doing certain drills. We actually provide a space in here that's rough enough to handle the type of training they would do without any kind of damage to the station. And we can go upstairs and take a closer look at that.
Okay, so here we are up in the mezzanine, like Zach mentioned, and what bringing the utilities up here did for us is it gave us more usable space on the main floor, and not having to utilize that valuable space. So, and what that ended up doing as well is it kind of created a big space for us to facilitate training. Zach mentioned they can throw ladders, they can do bailout drills in these windows. There's anchors for them to do that safely on ropes. There's also specific a manhole cover. There's specific type of training they can do here. So they actually hoist a firefighter up through this manhole cover.
We also provided large anchors that you see directly above the manhole cover. Another large anchor directly above the exterior window where they can train from outside the building, as well as on the walls opposite the windows as well for various anchor systems that can be utilized to train safely in this space.
Well, that's all we have for the station tour. We hope you enjoyed it and really appreciate your time if you watched it all the way to the end. We're excited to get the crews working here next week, so you'll see them running down the center street of Midvale here in the next few days. Appreciate your time again and hope you enjoyed it.
Yep, I agree. Thanks for joining us, and we're excited to bring this new fire station into your community.